Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I want to share an experience I had a couple of weeks ago riding in the mountains of North Georgia to my home. I was in the car, actually I was in the pickup truck alone, driving my red Silverado pickup truck from a place in the mountains. Spent a lot of time thinking, which I try and do when I get a few moments to myself. And I started thinking about all the difficult positions that we're in as a country right now. I thought about our border with Mexico and all the Central American kids who are coming through and huddled on the border and the crisis that we have there. I thought about Syria and the tragedy of that civil war. I thought about the fact that the Israelis and Hamas are firing rockets back and forth from Gaza into mainland Israel. I thought about the fact that we're now negotiating with Iran, our arch enemy. I thought about the fact that Vladimir Putin decided to take advantage of a vacuum that's been created in world leadership and moved into the Crimea and is threatening Kiev and threatening the Ukraine. I thought about all the crises we have all along the way, and then I came to Ellijay, Georgia, a little town known for its apples and its population of 2,000 great Georgia citizens. And I came to Poole's Barbecue, which is a landmark along the highway in Ellijay, Georgia. And I stopped, and all of a sudden, all those thoughts that I had of those wars that are going on, the conflicts that are going on, the strife and the trouble that are going on, they all culminated in Gilmer County, because in Gilmer County, in 2005, I attended the funeral of Noah Harris. Noah Harris was killed in Iraq in 2005. And I thought about his story, and I thought about our position now, and I thought about some message that I wanted to send to my country and to this body, the United States Senate. Let me tell you about Noah Harris. Noah Harris was a cheerleader at the University of Georgia. And on the Saturday before 9/11 in 2001, he was in Sanford Stadium with 92,000 fans of the Georgia Bulldogs cheering the team on. And then, like the rest of the world, he saw the terrible attack of 9/11, 2001 in New York City, in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and in Washington, D.C. The morning of the 12th, he got out of bed in the dormitory. He went straight to the Army ROTC building in Athens, Georgia, and he told him he wanted to sign up for an ROTC commission because he wanted to go fight whoever it was that killed those 3,000 citizens of the world tragically in New York City. And they said, "Noah, you can't get a commission in just a year. You've only got a year left." He said, "I can double up and do it." He said, "I want to go for my country. I want to go for what's right. I want to go fight for America." He became a second lieutenant in the 3rd Infantry Division, and sure enough, 3 years after that, he was in Iraq. He became known as the Beanie Baby soldier because he had his pockets stuffed with Beanie Babies, and as he would go through Gazaria, which is where he was stationed in near Baghdad, he would hand out the Beanie Babies to the Iraqi children. He was like a Pied Piper going through Iraq, but unfortunately, in his 11th month of his tour, a rocket-propelled grenade hit his Humvee, and he and 2 of his buddies were killed instantly in Iraq. I didn't know Noah Harris, but I went to the funeral that day because as a senator from Georgia, I wanted to pay my respect to a soldier who played the ultimate sacrifice in the war on terror. So when I was riding through Gilmer County here a couple of weeks ago, thinking about the crises that we have today around the world, and then thinking about Noah Harris, I thought to myself, there's a message all of us need to remember. Those soldiers should never have died in vain, and we've got to make sure that they did not. In Iraq, 4,486 American soldiers were killed in Operation Iraqi Freedom. In Afghanistan, to date, 2,319. A total of 6,805 Americans, many of them, most of them Americans, some of them immigrants seeking their citizenship in America and fighting for America and our armed forces, fought for the rights and freedoms that all our founding fathers stood for, fought for all the reasons that we serve in this body today, fought for all the reasons that America is the great and noble country that it is around the world. But right now there is a absence of leadership in the world, and because of it we're seeing one crisis come up after another. And I worry that Noah Harris, who died in Iraq in 2005, might, and I underscore the word might have died in vain if we don't recognize our responsibilities to see to it that we try and prevent what's been happening lately from continuing to happen. And there's a decision point coming for the United States of America, and it's coming next year. And it's one I want to encourage the President to think about deeply and for all of us to think about deeply. We have lost Iraq to ISIS. ISIS is a renegade group of terrorists who've basically taken over that country and partnered with some of the terrorists in Syria to control Iraq. One of the reasons they did that is we left a huge vacuum in Iraq when we pulled out. We pulled every American soldier out. And I know it was our goal to leave after the surge had worked, and that was the right thing to do, but it wasn't the right thing to pull out every single soldier because we abandoned all the infrastructure that we built. We abandoned the image of American strength and power. We abandoned the ability for us to be agile in a dangerous part of the world. In Afghanistan, we're supposed to pull our troops out beginning next year. And some of them should come home, but not all of them. We've invested billions of dollars in American hardware and American money to see to it we had the best support in the world for our soldiers in Afghanistan. If we abandon Bagram, if we abandon Kabul, if we abandon Afghanistan, the same thing will happen in Afghanistan as was happening in Iraq. And those soldiers, 2,319 who've died in Afghanistan, will have in part died in vain because we abandoned what they built, we abandoned what they protected, we abandoned the investment that they made. And we need to also remember what happened in 2001, 9/11, when we decided to go into Iraq and then later into Afghanistan. We didn't have enough infrastructure in that part of the world to make an invasion. We had to rent the Kyrgyzstan airport near Russia to be able to fly our troops into to begin positioning outside of the Tora Bor area in Afghanistan. We have built tremendous infrastructure. We've built tremendous bases. We have tremendous assets the taxpayers of the United States have paid for. We should maintain a presence there so we are agile, so our SEALs teams, if needed, can be positioned, so that the rest of the world knows while the war may be over and America has come home, it hasn't left, it hasn't abandoned. An American presence will remain just as we have in Germany, just as we have in Japan, just as we have in South Korea. Our best friends today were our enemies 40, 50, and 60 years ago because America didn't leave when the fight was over. We need to make sure that relationship happens in Afghanistan so we can begin to build our presence in that part of the world and be as somebody that prohibits and inhibits terrorism and people like ISIS from taking over countries. No mistake about it. Vladimir Putin's been encouraged by an absence of leadership. ISIS took advantage of an absence of leadership. What's going on between Hamas and Israel and the Gaza Strip is an absence of leadership, in part on our part. We can't sit around and be bystanders. We have to recommit ourselves to the effort in that part of the world because in the end, the peace and security of America from terrorism and from those that would bring us down is us looking the other way and not living up to our responsibility to the Noah Harrises of the world who gave his ultimate sacrifice in Iraq in 2005, all because he watched what we all watched that morning in 9/11/2001 and said, "This shall not stand. I want to volunteer for fight to my country," and joined our army and did so. God bless Noah Harris. God bless his parents, Rick and Lucy. God bless the United States of America. And may we remember our responsibility not to leave what we've built and to remain a beacon of peace, liberty, and democracy around the world. And I yield back and suggest the absence of a quorum.